Hello everyone, today I'm in the marketplace at St John's Chapel up in Weardale. I've come to one of my ancestral homes. 4 of me 8 great grandparents are actually buried in this particular churchyard here. It's sod's law. I've turned up and somebody's cutting the grass just like the other day when I was at Richmond. Everywhere I go there seem to always be cutting the grass. But just to give you some idea, this is the marketplace in St John's Chapel. My grandparents used to have that pub over there. It's not a pub now, with the one with the green windows, the King's Arms. Well, my great grandparents, I should say, I think back in the 30s, 1930s. So the church is actually open today. So I'll just have to quickly show you through inside. Bloody door. Struggle to get into a door, but this is the chapel from the 1700s. Nice and open and light, but just to show you, it was open. Main purpose of this visit is just to have a look around the graveyard. Now, the one thing about Weardale, when you go to the graveyards, you'll notice the common surnames appear everywhere, like mine, Emerson, Bainbridge, Featherstone, Dalton, Stobbs, Peart, Payden. Whereas when you go to places like Middleton, Teesdale and Barnard Castle further down, you don't get so many clusters of like these particular surnames. But up here, everybody was sort of seems to have been connected. I know this churchyard quite well because when I started doing my family tree about 20 odd years ago, I used to drive up here and have a little wander around. So there's one there. Here lies interred John Emerson of Hotts, and his wife, and Margaret their daughter. And then there's a skull and crossbones, memento mori at one, remember you must die. My Emersons, I think, arrived in Weardale in the 1500s. There were gamekeepers down Westgate, but obviously that's such a long time ago. There was lots of different branches appeared across Weardale, and then they spread out up into like Alston, into Teesdale, surrounding areas. But there was other Emersons down, I think, from around that time near Sedgefield as well. That's another common Weardale name, Natras. Quite a large churchyard. It goes a few hundred metres all the way back down there, and there are 1700s ones. I think before this was opened, Stanhope was probably the closest one. Let's have a look around here. It's back of the church. Another common Weardale name is Featherstone. Ralph Featherstone of Home House died 11th 1767, aged 53 years. And Deborah, his widow, died in 1807. We're right next to the main road. Looks like the grass hasn't been cut for a while. Look at this grand one here. Sacred to the memory of the Reverend Robert Somerville, many years minister of the Presbyterian Church at Iris Holburn in this parish. There was a big Presbyterian influence in the Dales. A lot of Scottish people came over. My Emersons, the furthest I can go back to is a Thomas Emerson about 1748, who was from up Killarburn. He was about my 5th great grandfather. But the problem was, with them being Presbyterians, they didn't go like this established church, such as this, unless it's for a burial. A lot of the baptisms and that so don't appear in the records, because there were dissenters, and there was a strong dissenting community up there, like on Alston Moor, Wellet Moor. There's a few loads of Emersons here. Look at this. Edward Emerson of West Hotts, Thomas Emerson of New House. They were a well-to-do family. They lived in this fine house just on the other side of the River Wear. And there's John and Mary Emerson, and that's another Emerson. And there's a Frederick Emerson. I could never find a connection to that lot. And you know, I always tell an old one, here lies the body of Joshua Percival. We're probably only about half a mile away from the River Wear, up in Weardale. This is the oldest section close to the church. There's this lovely little overgrown bit down here. There's a few of these red stones. Here lies the body of William Hackwood of Highcorn Riggs, who died April the 4th, 1799, aged 57 years. There's the vicarage next door. Dawson, another common name. And there's a couple of old ones here. John Walton departed this life 1773. My great grandmother was a lady called Dinah Emerson. She was born Dinah Bell. She was born over near Middleton Teesdale at Mickleton, but her father died in a quarry accident at Mickleton Limestone Quarry. So the mother, my great grandmother, was left with about 4 young infants under the age of about 7 or 8. So she left Teesdale and came across to Weardale, and her daughter married an Emerson. So that's how I get the Weardale connection. And then obviously my granddad married a Weardale girl. There's loads of Waltons, what we've got here. Coulthard of West Blackdean. Died in the blessed hope of a glorious hereafter. Farewell, my dear friends, adieu, adieu, we are forced while to part with you. Our glittering crowds appear in view. Fare you well. Is that a chirrup? This little overgrown bit in here. Again, what I said, Coulthard. Here lies the body of Thomas Coulthard of Hilltop, who departed this life September the 7th, 1777, aged 38 years. Have a look at this overgrown bit. I could always find one set of my great grandparents, but I never find the other one. This one set of great grandparents in here, even my dad never met them because they died well before he was born. And they were called Peden, or Peden. Another Walton. That's in good nick. Look at that. Sacred to the memory of Hannah, wife of Thomas Walton of Lowburn, who died November the 9th, 1838, aged 35. And also Matthew Walton, son of the above, died 1829, aged 6 years. So unless that was put up like years after sad deaths. Alison, Walton, Edward Whitelock. Walton is one of those names where all over Teesdale and Weardale you find it. Here's one of those porcelain, I think it's porcelain memorials. Right, let's have a look down here, see if we can find. It's a few years since I've been in here. Still in use today, I believe. I hope my great-grandparents hasn't been overgrown. It was around this particular bit because I visited with my dad and my daughter a few years ago and tidied it up a little bit. But it does look a bit overgrown. I think this is it. Yeah, it is. It's my great grandparents. God, it's deteriorated a bit. This is John Victor Peden, or Peden, I never remember how you pronounce it, and his wife Sarah, Sally. They owned a few businesses up in Weardale. But they both died, I think, in the 1930s, early 40s. When my nana was a young girl, and my dad never met them. And my dad's about 70 odd. So, looks like strawberry plants here. But needs a good clean up. This is the problem once you get this type of moss on, and it affects everything. So, John Victor Peden. I've got pictures of him. When I do upload the video, I'll put a picture in of him and my great gran. That was the one I didn't think I'd find, but I did. And there's some older ones down here, and oh, it looks overgrown down there. But see if we can find some old ones down here. Dent, Laws, Vickers. I bet my other great grandparents is overgrown as well. Dawson again, Coulthard, Darg, Laws. It's down here somewhere. I'll go and have a look down the wild bit down the bottom. I never used to like coming down here years ago, especially down this bottom bit. Don't mind it here because there's somebody in. See what I mean now? Look what's happened to these ones. It must all be due to the climate and the weather up here. Up in the Dales, there's a lot of ones in Teesdale. Madison. Aha, I think this might be it. And I'm going to show you some absolutely gorgeous views of Weardale. Look at that, Coulthard. Weardale is a beautiful valley up to the top, big lead mining area. And here we are. This one's in better condition. In loving memory of my dear wife Dinah Emerson. She died 29th January 1954, aged 59 years, and also John Henry, her beloved husband, died 30th August 1962. My dad did meet these grandparents. I've got a few photos, so I'll put in the video. I'll put a picture of the two of them. Both born back in the 1800s. Dinah was the one whose dad died at 29. Just going to go through here past this person doing the garden, like cutting the grass. Go to the wild bit. I remember there are some old ones down here. Now, I will take a load of photos which I'll put on my Facebook page. Oh, and it was never this overgrown back in the day, but you could walk right down to the bottom. I've just realised we are in like out of country, aren't we, up Weardale? Oh, have to be careful. Look at this. This is really, I wasn't expecting this, because in the past you could just literally, it was just like the rest of it but with a few bushes and so on. Oh God, how's this happened? That's shocking. Yeah, I don't mind them when they're left to grow like a meadow for a few months of the year, but this is shocking, this. When you think you've got that all neatly maintained, the recent area. Somebody's been walking down here. Oh look, wow. So quiet. William Rodham, Featherston Jackson. Up here there was a very strong tradition of using surnames in the family as Christian names. Like you'll get up Weardale, there was hundreds of people with a Christian name, Emerson, and Featherston and Dalton, so you get people called Dalton Emerson, Featherston Emerson, Harrison Stobbs. You get that right across like urban areas as well, but I think it was a lot stronger from places like Weardale. Let's have a look at what we've got here. Look at them, we can't even get to those ones. Oh. Joshua Stevenson of St John's Chapel, who fell asleep in 1907. This one's in good condition. George Henderson, who died in 1906, aged 58 years. Thomas Elliot. Chapman. One thing I've noticed in these headstones when I've been walking past, there's not many epitaphs, you know, like the flowery Victorian ones, biblical or anything like that. I don't know if that's because up here there was a strong Methodist tradition going to chapel and so on. So probably things might have been a little bit more basic. And Presbyterian as well. John, beloved husband of Mary Watson, died in 1904. So here we are, the overgrown section. There's some against that wall I know I can see in the background over there. But not impressed with this particular section. This just looks like it's been left rather than sort of maintained and for wildlife purposes. Alright, I am going to head off now. So I will thank you for watching this particular video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. I will insert some photographs of those two great-grandparent headstones, the people who they were and stuff. So thank you very much for watching. If you do like it, click on there, subscribe, and give it a like. It'll help grow the channel. I'm off for my lunch now because it's a day out up Weardale. I'm going back to Teesdale now, so thank you very much. I will see you next time. Take care.